Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apax Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apax Lab mineral concentrates. Apax Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. Not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apax Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apaxlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought he was going to say the website. Thanks. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups. They got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good.
3, 2, 1.
Soul clap.
The soul clap.
Bomba clap.
Bomba clap.
Bomba clap.
Hey, we're back for another coffee break, but we've got the whole team's back together, yo. Oh, yeah.
We've got Sonam Sherpa in the house. I'm Rowan Cook.
I'm Liam Conroy.
And this is Coffee Break.
Yeah, this is just a coffee break.
I just want to say I am so grateful you're back, Rowan. Don't get me wrong. Being a podcast host for a few weeks, it's hard.
You did well.
Doing it for a year, though, that's really hard.
Yeah, it takes it out of you.
I'd just like to say thanks, Liam, as well, because you made my life a lot easier. And because of you, the systems and processes are better than ever.
And that's what our listeners want to know about, the systems and processes. We're going to share our Google Sheet with everyone, our Asana workboards, and you can see how the operations really take place.
I would love to show everyone the coding of my Excel spreadsheets. Send me less.
He is a freak in the sheets.
He's a lady on the street.
Put a freak in the Excel sheets.
What a great podcast we just had. New ground, doing so much RTD, doing instant coffee, all that stuff's super interesting. But the biggest one in the future that I wanted to quickly chat about, and it was a little hot take that he had, is the espresso machine is dead.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting kind of debate, and I don't know if their version of the concentrate is the final form or whatever it is, but some form of pre-batched espresso could very easily, and we'll start seeing cafes that are fully functioning off pre-batched espresso are going to start appearing and popping up, and maybe altogether just get rid of the espresso machine.
I see it. I can dream it. Connor took us through this whole thing, and I'm like, I remember working at a cafe and you're ordering in your bags of beans. You're like, oh, I'll get 20 kilos or whatever it is. It's now going to be bladders. None of these coffee bags. It's going to be I want 3 signature this blend and I want 3 blah from this place.
Well, especially when you're seeing the rise of mixed coffee drinks, different ice drinks, all this kind of thing. The only question that I have is, I think it works perfectly with hot milk-based espresso drinks. So I've seen tests where they're doing it, making flat whites, cappuccinos, and people either can't tell the difference or like the pre-batched one better. The only question is when you start getting to espressos and long blacks. But the hard thing that these cafes have to do, even though that's kind of the coffee traditionalist drink, the espresso or the long black or those kind of things, it's such a small percentage of the sales. We know that milk-based drinks are 80% plus of coffee orders. So it kind of makes sense. Also with the cost of running things these days, with training staff, having all that, it kind of just makes sense. Sonams, I know you've looked at this a lot. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, contrary to what most people would think, as a purist, it's probably better because you'd be roasting and then you'd be extracting on the day of the optimal day of roast, and you could nail the science and the data behind that. So you're going to get the best possible version of that actual drink or that coffee beverage out consistently on batch.
Or how the company wants it represented, because coffee is often compared to the wine industry, right? But the biggest difference that you have is the wine industry isn't sending a bunch of grapes to your house for you to then stomp on and then, process and make. Are you leaving on the skins? Are you not doing it? Whereas coffee, that's what happens. You just get sent this roasted product and then the rest is in your hands. You're now looking at a world where the people who are roasting it can also then brew it in the way that they want it to be represented. And you're going to have consistency across cafes. You're going to have consistency across cups. And there's going to be no question marks. If you don't like it, then, go for something different. It's not going to be left up to interpretation of the brewer and the barista.
You can only imagine how much wastage it saves, yeah? No dialing in. Like one of our biggest complaints at Golden Brown is someone buys a 250 bag and they've spent 3 or 4 shots dialing in.
Yeah.
And that's, echoed across the industry. Everyone has that same issue.
And at home.
Yeah. And it's just like, gosh, and how are you going to keep up with that? So it's a good solve.
I'm kind of diverting now to a different thing. Just quickly on you saying that, like we do get the biggest problem with selling coffee online or any retail coffee is the dialing in process of all of them being so different. We've been looking at a Melkonig grinder recently that has new electronic burr adjustments, and the burr adjustments are done on micron measurements. So there's lasers inside that measure the distance. So every Melkonig grinder from cafe to cafe, you can send them the exact number and it's going to be right. Whereas with numbers at the moment, they're arbitrary and they're different based on where your machine's calibrated. And I want this to come down into the commercial home setting, because what would change the world of home espresso making is Breville was like grind size 5 is the same as grind size 5 on every single machine. Because we'll send out our coffee and some people are like, I dialed it in at grind size 5. Some are like, I dialed it in at grind size 16. That's an insane difference when you're trying to educate people on how to dial in.
The variables of the internal burrs as well just completely throw you out. Someone's like, I've turned it as far as I can. And you're like,
yeah.
You got to gently and politely be like, I'm so sorry, but there is also an internal burr.
Yeah, there's also an internal burr. If you take out your grinder, you can then switch it around. But that would be game changing if that started to be seen in the home market. But back to RTD drinks.
Oh, jinx.
Jinx.
RTD jinx.
Buy me a canned coffee.
Yeah.
No, he was great. Are there any of the? I wish we'd had some of them. We should have been more prepared and had some of them to try out there. I've had the St. Ali ones before. Have you had some of the other ones out there?
Well, my experience is mainly just the Japanese brands, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I haven't got any of the new wave stuff. I have tried a couple here and there, but nothing that I actually was like, I need to hit this again.
He brought up an interesting point where he's like, all those canned things, like if you're looking at the Suntories, like the Boss Coffees of the world, it's kind of based on this nostalgia of the flavor and doing that. So there's like a whole new education system coming in of doing better brewed and more specialty coffee. Because when he explained his process of making the coffee, bigger companies are just all about the yield. So they're extracting every single element out of the coffee to get everything there. And I was saying, as we know with making espresso, you know that there are bad solubles in there that you don't want as well. Whereas he's finding a way of using his hot brewing technique to only pull out the most desirable kind of flavors. So it is a very different experience that you're going to be having when you're drinking these kind of new specialty RTD drinks or instant
just
coffee.
to veer off a little bit for all of our Australian listeners, it's kind of like, when CUB has the top is Carlton Crown Lager, then it's Carlton Draft, and then it's BB. They're the different presses that you're going to get out of this coffee.
Yeah.
So the top's going to be amazing. Second one's going to be a little bit dry.
A little bit chalky in the mouth.
And the third one, we don't know what that
The
is.
third one will win a craft beer award,
That's maybe where it's destined for.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what I was excited by and wanted to get Sonam in, Sonam just went on an amazing little life journey. So the first part of it that we'll just brush over is Sonam's granddad just turned 100 and he's from Nepal. So you went over to Nepal to meet him for his 100th birthday, right?
I did. I went back with the family, just the 3 brothers and I. Unfortunately, my sister couldn't make it. A lot of cousins could make it. A lot of cousins couldn't make it. So it was an unofficial family reunion. A little backstory on my grandfather is there's a village on the Everest Base Camp Trail that's actually known as the Sherpa Village, and my grandfather was the head of that. So he was like the kingpin. He was the head honcho. So
The original Sherpa.
he's one of the OGs. Yeah.
To put this into perspective, when Sonam showed us, I sent in a little video. KP's response was, "Is your grandfather a king? Is he royalty?" The answer is yes.
And he's a good looking bloke for 100. I was like, Sonam, you have lucky genes there. That's a sexy man.
It was also like a dream for me because there's moments in my life where you can't really remember everything from when you grow up. I was in the village when I was really young for a wedding for one of my uncles, and there was cultural music, there was dances, there's things specific to the Sherpa people, and they rolled it all out for the event. And I was just having all these flashbacks, remembering all these times, like being underneath tables at these weddings and all these moments, and then being with the uncles in that same room at the same time. So, I mean, you can see from like
goosebumps. He's
it's
getting it.
unbelievable. It was a very, very special moment for me. Very special moment for my family as well. And it's like, I would have stopped anything for that moment.
Yeah. Where's the tat?
Oh, it's on the upper thigh.
Get the pants off.
I'll have to send in a photo to comp in.
We'll get a photo up there. So you got like a family tattoo from everyone that went over.
Well, my cousins and I, we went west to the Annapurna region and did a hike and went and watched the sunrise over the mountain ranges, and managed to convince my brother, who's quite well off, to pay for a couple of choppers.
To define
How much does that set
choppers.
you back?
It was about 6K.
I didn't know it was
For a
that
little
much.
chopper ride. That looked insane.
Yeah, so we got 2 choppers, went through the Annapurna Ranges, went to ABC, Annapurna Base Camp, came back, then got the tats. So we all got from the Muddy Himal view, you got Machu Picchu, which is known as the fishtail. We got that with the Tibetan number or the Tibetan writing for 100 for my grandfather's birthday. And then a few of us got the chopper because it looked cool.
That's
A few of us.
yeah.
I got that.
The really sentimental one, and then the one where like, this is cool. Wait, is this the brother that's in like construction or whatever?
Yeah. He's the-
so is that the message for all of our listeners? Get out of hospitality in the coffee industry and go start building houses. That's where the money's at.
Dude, he just got a boat recently as well. I've been on that as well. It's been amazing.
Oh my God. What type
We
of boat?
got a boat.
Yeah, we got a boat.
Yeah.
Big giant twin V8, it's like 10 meters. It's 2 bedrooms.
What do they say about owning a boat? It's better to know someone else that owns a boat. I think the acronym is BOAT. Bring on another 1,000 because you're just constantly the upkeep.
Yeah. He's
Insane.
shelling out heaps of money at the moment. But
Yeah.
that's his choice. But so amazing trip. Thank you so much for you guys to let me take the time off and hold down the fort and do everything. It was really nice to be just immersed in it. There was one really, really special moment though when we were doing the trail at about 1,200 meters. It's actually a coffee farm there, a coffee plantation with specialty coffee. And then as you walk up, we get to about 3,200 meters and we get to one of the guest houses and they've actually got the coffee. Oh. And they had a guy that could make a V60. So I just ended up sitting there on the same trail now at 3,200, just drinking this coffee that's grown to 2,000 meters below me. Oh, it was an unbelievable feeling. It was just like, oh, wow, how cool is this? And I think that's also a big signifier of, where Nepal's going for specialty coffee because of the altitude and the monsoons and the rains. It's, it's totally viable there to have a specialty coffee industry.
And just in that beautiful moment, we're now opening the door because someone's knocking. Let's find out who it is.
Let's find out.
That's
we have a
unbelievable.
guess?
Yeah. Should we have a guess? Is it delivery? What are we thinking?
DHL.
Come on. New coffee machine. What do we got?
Hey, it's Keep
So what was the coffee like? Is it just more the experience or is it actually good coffee?
Look, I'm not going to lie. To have a V60 at that height, it's really hard to taste everything because you're at such high altitude.
Yeah.
The coffee was also a couple of months old, so that didn't help either.
Why? It's right fresh. It's just a couple meters below.
No,
Can't get rid of it.
I know. So the origin is Sabi Lamjung in Nepal. The process was a honey process and it was a bourbon varietal. Altitude was 1100 to 1,300 meters above sea level and the roast date was the 2nd of February.
Right.
I was there in May.
You should send him a little Google review.
Pins on mountain.
Yeah. Put 1 out of 5 stars. Coffee was a month old, 2 months old.
It's good. It was delicious. It was still had some like little bit of floral flavor to a little bit of gooseberry and stuff like that. But mainly most of it was just like in that caramel realm.
The best meal I've ever had was climbing Mount Fuji in Japan. And when you get to the top, you like come over the crest of the mountain. You're expecting like a big flag or like something doing there. You just get up there. There's just vending machines and a ramen bar.
Perfect.
And so you go in, you've climbed like 8 hours, you're exhausted. You go in and you just get like a big steaming hot bowl of ramen. And oh my God, it was the best thing I've ever eaten in my
Yum.
life. It was unreal. But the most interesting thing related now to the podcast is you went on a little trip to Bangkok.
Little sojourn, yeah. We've got a good friend, in fact, that works for a big multinational food company. We share a lot of mutual interests, and for some reason, he was kind enough to put me up in a hotel and pay for most of my stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I went so we went on a bit of an eating and drinking escapade, and he's into obviously large volume sort of things because of that's what the dealings of the scale of things that he's at. So we went to one of the super malls there.
So his food company does like huge, large scale stuff, like
syrups, sugars,
supplies
oils.
eggs to McDonald's kind
Correct,
of thing.
that sort of thing. Yeah,
Oh my
without
God.
giving it away. So we then go. He's like, "All right, cool. Let's go check out all these spots." We tried to get to a Luck In, the Chinese coffee company, that was unfortunately unavailable. So we went to Coty though, which has got 40,000 outlets across Asia at the moment.
Wow.
Unreal, yeah. So there's one staff member working. Take their order. They take your order. They just print out a docket. They stick it straight on the cup. They walk over to the Frankie coffee machine, which is similar to an Eversys, fully automated. Scans the barcode. Don't even key anything into the machine. Just put the cup underneath and makes the beverage.
Boo.
Whoa.
And it's just
You've
sealed
done
up,
like that?
and then it's back over.
No, it's insane. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and that's how you get 40,000 outlets, because you've just idiot-proofed absolutely everything. So that was insane. That was one of those ones to look at.
Do you think it's different over there with like Australia is like such a espresso based kind of like culture? I know it's making that, but do you think because there's so many more different like variations on drinks and that over there that it's easier to accept that kind of innovation? Or do you think we're heading to that?
I think it just comes down to a sheer volume of population, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like if you're just busy, like everywhere's busy, there's just people needing to drink. So you need to be fast. You need that efficiency. So you just don't have that luxury afforded of being able to go chat to someone, get a coffee slowly, have that nice morning ritual. And I think people need to understand that that's actually a luxury. And it's amazing to have that in Australia. Like you don't understand how much people's time is worth.
Yeah.
Chatting to that barista for 5 to 10 minutes in the morning and then remembering everything about your life. That should be worth more than your $5 cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's true.
That's essentially therapy, really, when you think about it.
There's such a different culture behind, I mean, just to jump back onto like canned drinks and to like look at it in those markets, like, you know, Connor on the pod was talking about in Japan, like, you know, walking around in this like crazy beautiful nostalgia that comes with canned drinks and all those things. I have no point to this. Where was I going with this?
That's all right.
Just complete brain fart. That was a beautiful moment. We've canned your thought. There we go. He's back.
I'm back. No. And the same thing with like, you know, signature drinks. And it's like you go into a 7-Eleven, it's like that's the way that you get like fresh food. And it comes like, you know, you have a smoothie that's already pre-prepped. You chuck it in, it's like there's your smoothie in 2 seconds. And it's like the branding, the culture behind all these things is like completely different. It's like here, it's like there's this connection to bad quality. It's, you know, things that are canned are like, that has it's energy drinks, you know, that bleed into it. Whereas,
it's big company. It's just crap quality thrown out there.
Yeah.
But in terms of the innovation of like food and flavor over there, you were just kind of, when you were over there, you were messaging me just like, Melbourne is screwed. Like, what are we doing? Like, we don't have that buzz, that hub, that change anymore. You were like, the food scene over here is just going wild. Like, starting with coffee, like, what is the difference you're seeing there and what do we need to try? Like, what are some recipes that you were seeing pop up?
So to give that some grounding, and I think it's a really cool way to look at it, is you think of Australia having that international influence mainly from Europe and Italy. So that's the basis of our flavors. And then these guys are now based in Bangkok, which is the center of that. Yeah. So you've got Burma, you've got Laos, sorry, you got Myanmar, you've got Laos, you've got Cambodia, then you've got Malaysia below you as well. So think about all those flavors that are integral to them.
Yeah.
And that's what's feeding into the coffee. Yeah. So you've got like pandan guava, you've got white grapefruit, you've got all these other things that you just wouldn't be looking off as a basic building block for the actual coffee or for any of the desserts and stuff like that. So I think that's probably explained it as clear as possible.
Yeah.
With some of the drinks, you know, it was just like pretty much anything was like an iced version of an iced Americano. There was one automated machine that I came up in Bangkok, and it was the coconut water iced Americano, and the coconut water was dispensed from the automatic coffee machine as well. Like it's so integral and everything's built into it. Like fruity Americanos is where it's at. Also, just a side note, what just happened over the weekend in Jakarta at World of Coffee, our friend Mikhail Jasin he, for the Da Vinci syrups, actually made a Dubai hot chocolate drink using their pistachio.
Oh, using the pistachio.
Yeah, and then he made like a lime matcha thing, and so nothing's off limits at all. From now
Lime,
on,
citrus, and matcha, unbelievable. Like I've done a gin and tonic matcha, a bit of yuzu, a bit of lemon, a bit of lime, whatever it is, unbelievable combination.
but just to give you some grounding, like here's the list for the cafe menu at KFC in Bangkok.
This is KFC.
KFC, yeah. They've got an iced matcha latte. They've got an iced pinky milk, iced love matcha, which is the pinky milk and matcha, iced matcha espresso. They've got iced Americanos. They've got iced cafe lattes, iced cappuccinos, hot matchas, hot chocolates. They've got it all.
Pinky drink.
There's a pinky drink, yeah. You drink the whiskey drink, you drink the pinky drink.
The guava drink.
And then Starbucks, they had the lychee osmanthus garden tea, the lychee osmanthus cold brew, and then the strawberry tiramisu cream frappuccino.
Dear God.
Dear God. Look at this one, the cloud mousse cocoa blue latte.
What did you have?
I had the grapefruit Americano.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it was really good.
Citrus and coffee, just there's not as dived into, but easy. I mean, Italians were doing it with the Romano back in the day, slice of lemon with your espresso. But in those bigger based drinks.
I mean, you were messing
makes a lot of
around with
sense.
the orange and chocolate, like going down that way. I want to try this matcha combo.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. Matcha. There's lots of, yuzu is a good one.
But speaking back to, look, I mean, if you just read this, it's like cloud mousse matcha latte, mango coconut latte, condensed milk latte, coconut milk latte, signature rice milk latte, pandan coconut milk latte, pampas blue coconut milk latte, oat latte, and then pandan jasmine latte. Nothing's off limits.
No.
And I love that. I think that's kind of where we need to go. And it probably ties back into that podcast that just happened with this syrups, like it's just another ingredient.
Yeah. We are seeing a lot of that influence come in through the Asian markets and that into Australia as well, which is super cool. I mean, we're seeing like the matcha boom has just been like insanity, where it's just like everywhere at the moment. But I think we'll start seeing more and more of this start to like filter in.
It was interesting, Connor. Like we asked him to like what innovations are you looking at? What if you I think it was on maybe 3 different times we kind of steered towards like, can you forecast some things? And it tended to follow back around to ingredient choices and ingredient combinations, which is interesting. And I guess there's like, we're a bit sheltered here maybe. Like it's not as widely accepted, Is that a purist thing? Is that also, I was thinking like looking at that, is the foundation where that's coming from tea? Like, it's like mixed cold tea beverages and different combinations of that.
Yeah, it has to be. And then what really perked my ears about what you just said then about ingredients and ingredient bases and stuff, you look at how widely you could segment coffee into flavor profiles so easily. And instead of, everybody already says that tastes like an Ethiopian, that tastes like a Brazilian. It's like, no, it doesn't, because there's a million different flavors within the Brazilian coffee.
Yeah.
But you could easily start to paint the brush and just be like Brazilian, Ethiopian. And how easy would that make it for someone like a Starbucks? Like they had these like liquid concentrates that are all going to taste the same around the world. We don't know where their coffee's roasted, but it's going to be a lot better kept if it's in those bladders.
Absolutely.
It'd also save on size, wouldn't it, technically?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the sheer volume of a kilo versus
For sure.
whatever is extracted comes out. The last thing I will say, in addition to what Rowan was talking about with the comparison between Melbourne and Bangkok was, remember Melbourne in like the late noughties, early 10s, and the laneways were just starting to get populated. There's like St. Jerome, Shittown, Section 8. And we were starting to fill in the crevices that were left over from the original city. Bangkok's in that stage now where the old city is now being filled in by all these cool operators, second generation of kids that grew up, understand the world. Like there was this one cocktail bar called Asia Today, which it's an older cocktail bar. It's no means brand new, but it specializes in wild foraged honey. And they would go out and get honey from underneath the ground. They'd get honey from, caves, all these other places. And then they would base their cocktails off those pieces of honey.
Wait, so the whole menu is just based off these honeys?
That's
from,
it.
What, around the world or from
Just
Asia?
around Asia, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So there was we obviously being who we are, we were like, I can't taste all these through a cocktail. You got to just let me taste some. They're like, yeah, try these. One straight off the bat tastes like chocolate. The next one straight off the bat is balsamic vinegar. They're like, how? And they're like, we fermented it. I'm like, is honey even fermentable?
Sugar, I guess.
I guess you can make mead out of it, but it's more just like to get it to that level of refinement.
But what an interesting thing, because obviously, like, as a natural made product, like honey is just like based on whatever's around that the bees are kind of pollen they're getting. So it's going to be so different from wherever you're getting it.
And then I was chatting to the staff. I was like, what's your favorite part of the job? And they go, when we go out and forage it.
Oh, they do it themselves.
They go out as well. Yeah, it's insane.
Oh, my God.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's good. And it's nice to be reminded every now and then that there's no ceiling still. Like, every now and then you kind of get a bit bummed and a bit down on yourself. Like you feel like there's a ceiling to hospitality and what's happening. Every now and then you go on one of these trips, like if you go to Japan or New York or Berlin or something.
Just excites you again.
Yeah, it gets you so excited to be like, fuck, we've barely touched the scratch the surface
That's so
here.
sick.
And
I'm also seeing a bit of a pattern there. Sorry, right? When malt came, it was the same thing with chocolate, and now it's the same thing with canned drinks. Now same thing with honey and like all these things. It's
I think it's a good reflection of the community that we're in, that we can attract those people to come on the podcast as well, because these are the things we should be talking about to pioneer and to further all these developments.
But speaking of like special and secret ingredients, there was a famous, I think he was a colonel. He had like 11 secret herbs and spices. Now you were at KFC in Bangkok. Tell me about you were hyping up these wicked wings, and if you want to know something about old Road Dog Supreme over here, love a wicked wing. How good is a wicked wing? Do you eat wicked wings, Liam?
I've dabbled with a wicked wing.
Dabbled?
Yeah.
Come on.
So there's definitely more than 11 secret herbs and spices in this thing. There is probably 30. Yep. But every time I go to Thailand, I have to hit the wicked wings. It's like the Doritos chili spice mix, but on steroids, and you can see it on the outside. It's just
So it's way different than here.
Way different, man.
My
It
God.
is
And
just
I love a wicked wing here.
Yeah, but imagine that Dorito spice mix, but just on steroids. Unbelievable. Your tongue is just tantalized and it's just dancing around.
Might have to get some wicked wings after this.
Yeah, straight
Every
up.
time it's like the first bite in, you accidentally inhale and you're that's right, I shouldn't do that. But yeah, anybody going, just tell me that you're going to KFC, because you are going to miss out on a delicacy that is not available anywhere else in the world.
Is it like in the breading, or is it like added?
It's
like,
tossed through the seasoning.
Okay,
It's
okay.
a straight seasoning mix.
So the real question is, how many wicked wings could you knock off in one sitting?
On that spice,
Oh,
maybe 5 to 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, no, let's go to let's talk about
Standard
wicked wings here. Just how many wings could you knock off? Now, this is different than normal wings because we're talking breading. Breading adds a lot to the, like, how much it fills you up. I got to tell you once, I reckon before I had an experience, I would have said 40. Like max, like pushing myself to the max. However, the last time, maybe like 3 months ago, that I ordered wicked wings, I ordered a 10 thing of wicked wings, and then Uber had a promo that it was like, you've spent over $15. As a promo, you get 10 free wicked wings. So I got 20 wicked wings delivered, and mate, I tell you what, I gave it a nudge and I was feeling pretty sick after like 11.
Got it done? Oh, after
No,
11. Okay,
no.
okay. I was
So
like,
I reckon I could say like 20 if I push myself to the absolute max.
depends on the day. Look, if I'm
Just
if
maxing out.
Your best day.
my best
Elite
day,
conditions.
elite conditions. Yeah, I reckon I could sit around the 20 mark.
Oh,
I
I reckon
reckon-
you could eat more than that. Come on.
Then let's
So
say
no.
30. Yeah.
I'd do 20 comfortably, I reckon, but
Yeah.
that'd be about it. I actually, in addition to this, funny story, we're in Nepal. There's a famous dumpling called the momo. It's very similar to a gyoza. We get to a restaurant and we're all there with my cousins, and my brother, for some reason, hypes himself up and just goes, fuck it, I can do 100. We're like, no, you can't. And he's like, all right, just order 40. And when I finish the first 20, order another 20 more. He gets through the 40. He's got another 20 coming. They decide to make 40. All of a sudden, they couldn't get enough momos made. People started coming in off the streets, going into the actual kitchen, helping them make more. Because the process had slowed down, he couldn't keep up the cadence of which he was eating at.
Oh, because half of it is how quickly you can get it in your mouth.
Correct. He's like, my brain's catching up. My brain's catching up. Gets to 70 of these things.
Oh my God.
And then the chef of the restaurant walks out to expect like a giant party of people and just sees my brother just like,
Crumpled over. Well, I've seen people do the Din Tai Fung 100 Xiaolongbao challenge. But Xiaolongbao, A, smaller, B, that it's so fine. The skin on it is so at Din Tai Fung, other places not as much. But for these, are you talking like like what you'd assume like a dumpling would be like that 70 of those is insane. Your son, how many didn't he do the challenge?
He did 17,
17 for how old?
He's 6 now.
6-year-old. That is epic. That is so. I reckon he can knock off 20 next time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm, really proliferating some bad eating habits in my family.
But you promote so much fitness and well-being and getting out there and exercise. You ride a bike everywhere.
Speaking of fitness, I'm actually starting a 12-week challenge in June. I'm going to my local BFT. I'm going to give it a crack.
Nice.
Like your local KFC.
I did say I was going to do the fit before 40 thing, so I've left it to the last minute. And I put on a few kegs on that last trip, that eating tour. So,
oh, mate, I'm there on that. Having a kid, just the eating habits just go out the window because you're just ease and convenience. Not that it's all fresh. Like I've frozen and pre-batched so much stuff, but it's like so many like meats and pastas and that. It's a dangerous, slippery slope.
The hardest part is when you cook for your children and they don't eat it, and you're like, oh,
I guess I'll eat it.
Eat it? Oh.
The best and the worst part of doing it.
Yeah.
All right, that probably brings us to the end of another coffee break. What an ep just hearing about that. I want to make some of those drink recipes on the channel. Try some of those out there. Maybe get the grape fart. Were you saying the grape? Did I say grape fart? The grape fart.
By the seed of my grape.
No, the grape fruit and you're saying guava?
Yeah, guavacano.
Yeah. Is there any out there that you're saying like we should absolutely try that are a bit obscure?
I reckon the pink one.
The pinky drinky?
The pinky drinky. I reckon that needs to be explored. I think we need to make like a bougie version of that.
Yeah.
Also, Connor was really, really keen to like, if anyone was listening to the pod, he was like, yo, if your audience legitimately comes up with some sick ideas, like send them through because they want to literally
push the envelope.
Make some things. They want to push the envelope.
So hit us at hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com or hit us on the socials, It's Just Coffee Podcast, or reach out to him directly. Newground. What an awesome dude. I love when you see people like that are like obviously on the like killing it. The business is growing so much, but he's still at that grassroots level, wants to connect and do that kind of thing. So that was great to see. Sonam, good to have you back. Glad you had a great trip.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'm actually going hunting this weekend, so let's see how that one goes.
Oh, well, we're going to have to get you on next week's coffee break to hear about your hunting expedition and how that goes.
How I lost a toe.
Yeah. Sonam comes back missing an ear. It wasn't Mike Tyson. It was a deer. On that note, we're done.
Coffee broken.
That's very good. That was very good. That was quick.